What I want to show you is what we call a mini course, which is intended to be used for microlearning, for courses that really don't have lots of activities in there, usually 3, 4, 5, maybe at most, which are very typical for corporate scenarios where you maybe have something like an introduction, maybe a little forum, maybe a quiz, maybe a SCORM package, and that's about it. And usually that looks a bit lost in a Moodle or Totra site, and therefore we figured out that the way we set up Flow hopefully makes sense for that. So I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots of the course that I've built as an example, and then I'm going to show you the course live, and then I'm going to build it from scratch so that you can see exactly each step, what I've done and how I've done it and why I've done the things that I did. So what you see here is one course. We called it Flow Mini. It has 5 activities. So you only see activities, no sections here. And each activity is represented by one of those images. And if you look carefully, you'll notice that 1, 2, 3 is completed, which is why it's colored and has a green bar next to it. And 4 and 5 is in black and white and has no green bar to it, so that it indicates that it still needs to be completed. Subtle, but still pretty intuitive, I think, hopefully. Once you hover on one of the activities, you get additional information. So in this case, for example, it tells you that you completed this activity on July 18th. You've already visited once, and therefore you can review the page as a call to action. Whereas if you had not completed it yet, it will tell you to open the page so that there's like a little communication going on. If you have not yet completed it, what I just said, you'll get open page and it tells you not yet completed. So without further ado, let's jump into the example. So what you're seeing here is the live course. Let me just make sure that the size is correct. That's better. So you see these activities, you see the rollover state, you see that I have visited that 1 time, that 5 times, etc., etc. I'm not a participant of this course. I'm not enrolled here. So therefore, it tells me that this activity uses automatic completion instead of telling me the completion status, which doesn't work for me because I'm not enrolled, and therefore there's no completion status that is assigned to me. So it's meant to explain to the teacher what he has configured in this case. So let's build this. I'm creating a new course, calling it Flow Mini, Webinar 2. I've already done this morning in German, so that's why it's 2. And I'm using our Kickstart course template system to create a Flow course. So I now have a course which has just the announcements forum, which we're going to get rid of in a second, with no additional configuration at the moment. So let's do some very basic settings. So I'm not going to care for start dates or description or stuff like that. That doesn't really matter for what I want to show you. But what I want to do is I want to, first of all, turn on completion tracking. And I want to get rid of the announcements forum, and I want to get rid of the gradebook just to keep it nice and tidy. Once I have done that, I can turn on editing. And then first of all, I will get rid of the announcements forum. So now I basically have an empty course. If I want to get to this experience of the Flow Mini course, I'm going to create just activities in the general section, because the way Flow works is if there's only the general section, it basically hides the general section and just shows the activities to give this minimal and simple look of it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create pages because there's no point in explaining to you how activities are built. Everybody in this webinar knows that. You're all experts in Moodle in some form. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to use the most basic configuration of an activity that is possible, to not spend too much time on that, because you know that how that works anyway. The only thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the completion. I just want that the activity needs to be completed in order to be complete. If I do it like this, what I get is like this. I get a page, I get the mod type, I get the icon, I get this whole information. So in comparison to what I did show you a second ago, I can open that up real quick. I only had the title showing and a background image. And this information was displayed only on Hover. So let's do that. Turn on editing again. Go to the configuration of the activity. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus pretty much exclusively on this design section, which is introduced once you use the designer course format. I will get rid of the icon because I don't want it. I will show the visits of the activity only on Hoover. I will show the call to action only on Hoover. I will show the title always. I will remove the description. I will remove the module type, the mod name, and I will only show the completion badge on Hoover. What I will do next is I need to insert the image for this activity. I've got that already prepared so that we don't need to wait long for that. Just need to pull that up here. So in this case, what I've done is I've used a black and white version of this image as the one which represents the incomplete state, and the normal version of this very image for the complete state. So I've got that already prepared. So the black and white version goes into the normal background image, and the background image completed goes into the completed one. And then I'm going to tell it to center it so that it's in the middle of the image. And I'm going to tell it to cover the full activity card. And I'm going to tell it to have a white text color because it's a dark image, so therefore a white text color makes more sense. If I save and return to the course, it looks like this. We believe that just by adding images, you can substantially and significantly change the appearance, which makes it very simple because most companies already have like an image pool, have a library of images, hopefully, otherwise you can easily get them either from an AI tool or from one of the stock portals. And you can significantly change the appearance of a course without a lot of work, without a lot of configuration. In my course, I had, of course, more than one activity. So let me duplicate that 3 times. I don't need to do 5 because it's actually always the same. So let's just say, okay, I've got here maybe the virtual classroom. That was one of the other activity names. And I'm just going to replace the images which I used, which are these 2. Just need to find the right virtual classroom one. Let's pick this one. It doesn't really matter. It's just for show anyway. There we go. Once I've done so, I've got the second one. And now let's do the third one. Just call that, I don't know, Q&A, just to have something in here. Deleting the images again. And this time I'm just taking this here and this. This was actually the link collection, so we can at least give it an appropriate name and save it. Once I turn off editing, I am pretty close to the original. I'm not going to do all 5 because it's just taking more time. And by now, I think you have understood how it works and you see in the architecture. The one difference is the background. So for the background, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our Learning Tools plugin, which allows to insert custom styles. So I'm basically just picking this bit of custom CSS styles, which introduces a background color and a foreground color for the text. I can just insert that here, copy that in here. Once I've done so, it turns into this dark appearance, which I kind of like, but that's of course a matter of taste and of course of the corporate identity that you work in. So that's something up to you, whether or not you want that. Last not least, let's have a look at this from a student point of view. So I'm going to enroll 2 students into this course and make sure that course completion is set up properly, because that's the way it should be. And look at this from a student point of view. So I do see the 3 activities. I do have the rollover state. I see 3 different images representing each activity. And if I click on that, I see that here opening in a Moodle, which is kind of convenient so that you don't have page reloads all the time, which is one of the features of the designer format. Once I clicked on it, I see that I completed it today. I can now view the next one. And once I've clicked on the link collection activity, I've basically completed this whole course. So that is how you build what we consider a flow mini course with some images. Obviously, you don't need the images. You can just use the normal tile, which represents the activity, and use a normal icon. It's just a way to make it look nice with minimal effort.